Did you know that MrBeast turned down a bid to buy his YouTube empire? He said no to $1 billion. I am so fascinated by this guy lately because I started my own YouTube channel, so I looked into him. He has 400 million subscribers. But more than that, he's really an excellent businessman. And I'll extract 9 principles from MrBeast's adventure that you can use in your own life. Let's dive in. Welcome to Money and Freedom, the podcast about becoming financially free and building wealth for generations using stock market investing. I've heard about MrBeast a lot. I have 2 kids. They are now 9 and 12, and they've been raving about MrBeast for years. And I've ignored it because I thought it was irrelevant, it was for kids, it was stupid. But now that I am trying to hack this YouTube code myself, I looked into him, and I have to acknowledge that he's a genius. He's really good at what he does, but he's so committed, and he's got such an excellent business mind that I thought, let's look at it. What is it actually that he does? Not just specifically with YouTube, but the way that he's thinking, the way that he really approaches things and invests and learns and everything. Let's look at the first principle. MrBeast says, burn the boat. Do you know the story of this general who had to conquer some land, and his armies was really outnumbered by the army in the land that they were about to conquer? It looked like they were going to fail. They were not going to be able to win this war. But then he did something smart. He said, burn the boats. And that meant the soldiers couldn't go back. They couldn't flee. So they had one choice, and that was to win, conquer, or they would die because they couldn't flee. And you have to have that attitude when you want to do something. How did MrBeast do it? Well, when he started making YouTube videos, he was really dedicated to it. But his mom didn't think much of it. So when it was time to go to college, his mom said, no way, you're not going to spend your time doing YouTubes all day. You're going to go to college. If you want to live in my house, you will go to college. Since he didn't make any money, he had to say yes to going to college. And he pretended. He kept recording the videos. And then he started getting a bit of income from the ads. And the moment he could afford to rent his own place, he did exactly that. He went to his mom, he said, Mom, I'm moving out. I am becoming a YouTuber. Goodbye. And that meant he burned the boat. From now on, he really had to make a living of this YouTube thing. That was his way of burning the boat. What has it been in my life? In my life, I opted out of being able to receive benefits as an unemployed single mom. I really wanted to become financially free. So early on, and in Denmark, there are 2 systems where you can receive unemployment benefits. One of them, you are a member of a system and you have to pay your dues. So I opted out. I've been paying my whole life, and I was like, no, I'm not paying anymore because I don't want to use it. If I use it, it's like taking the boat back, or it's a safety net that I don't want to have. I want to push myself. What could it be in your life where you refuse to leave that door half open to a land of safety, where you rip away the safety net below you? What could it mean for you? Where could you burn the boats? That was point number 1, principle number 1. Let's go to principle number 2, the rule of 100. MrBeast says you cannot judge yourself before you've made 100 YouTube videos. And he says you have to face it. Video number 1, 2, 3, 59, and so on. They will not get a lot of views, and they won't be any good at all. Just face it. It's a fact. You will be pretty shitty. Only when you've done at least 100 videos can we talk about how to really get the thing going, how to improve, how to get more traction. Either that, and you can think about it in terms of 10,000 hours. He even says 100,000 hours. He says 10,000 hours, that's nothing. That's what? 8 hours a day for 3 years? Nothing. Take 100,000 hours. So whatever it is you want to do, if it's learning to play the piano or learning to play paddle or learning to be a really good stock picker, you have to think in terms of either doing 100 company analysis, or if you're a salesperson, 100 sales calls. If you can't measure it in terms of units, then think in terms of 10,000, 100,000 hours. Where are you willing to commit to the input before you judge the output? In my life right now, it's about making 100 videos exactly like he says. Another very important point is you have to keep improving. You can't just, be proud of making a shitty video or a shitty company analysis. Like, keep improving every time. That's also the power of compounding. In my case, every week I try to do one new thing. So one week I'll dive into SEO, searchable words. Next week I'll learn how to do timestamps if I don't have a lot of time. Next week it's how to do short, and so on and so on. Every week it's something else. As a business person, what could it be for you? Or as an investor, could you learn one more thing about how to analyze a company this week? That was point number 2. Let's go on to point number 3. He says, everything can go viral. Everything in the whole world can be a viral YouTube idea. And he was tested. He got a random word. It was grandma. And he thought for a split second, he said, well, I'll find a grandma who's terminally ill and I'll fulfill her bucket list. Everything she wants to do, we'll do it in 10 days or whatever. I can't remember exactly, but there was a time frame or a cap on the amount of bucket list things. What does this mean in your world? Well, it means, first of all, if you're an investor, a stock market investor, there are opportunities everywhere. You can look for investments everywhere. I remember once when I visited my kids' kindergarten, I opened the closet in the bathroom and I looked at the cleaning products and the soap. And I thought, is this something I could invest in? How do you figure out if you can invest in something? It's simple. You just take the company name and then you Google it together with the word stocks, and you will figure out if there are any stocks, and you will see if it's a public company. If you are a business person, maybe it's time to figure out, is there another product I could launch? Are there any customers, potential customers or partners in this room that I'm in right now? There are opportunities everywhere. That's the mindset you want to have. That was point number 3. Let's move on to point number 4. Point number 4 is reinvest everything. And there's a really good story from MrBeast as well. When he was living in that apartment for $700, sharing it with his also YouTube making friend, he one day got a call. And it was a company that wanted to do a sponsorship with him. If he mentioned their product or the company, he would earn $5,000. He said, no, I want $10,000. They said, no, you can have $5,000. He said, no, I want $10,000. And I want to give all $10,000 to a homeless guy. And they were like, really? And they said yes to that. And that's what he did. He still didn't have a lot of money. He could just barely get by paying the rent. And he gave $10,000 to a random homeless guy. And of course, he made it into a YouTube video. And that's because whatever he earns, he puts into the next video. And then what he earns there, he puts into the next video. And that's how he rolls. Can you do that yourself? How do I do it? Well, first of all, I do it 2 ways. With my investment, whatever I make, I keep investing it. If I get any dividends, boom, I buy more shares with it. Of course, I have to live, so money have to come from somewhere. But whatever I can invest, I reinvest it. And in my company, I learn a lot. Like right now, I'm taking a huge course on how to run a business. I have a one-to-one coach. I'm taking a course on how to make podcasts. I'm taking another course on how to make really good blog posts. I can continue. I have several courses, and all of these are like live. It's with, teaching every week that I go to, because it is so important for me to improve every week. It's like compounding. I'm obsessed with getting better at things. I also, of course, obviously, I also have some help getting better at investing, because that's my main thing, right? And I really want to get better all the time, because that's the power of compounding. Power of compounding is not just the thing about money making money and that money also making money. It's also about you getting better. When you get better and you get incrementally better, that part will also get better, and you will grow and grow and grow. Super, super important. So where can you reinvest? Either it could be, if you're focused on stock market investing, reinvest the money you've already made. If it's dividends, you can reinvest the dividend. If the stock price has risen, just don't sell it, right? If you still believe in the company. That was point number 4. Let's dive into point number 5, which is clone yourself. This is really great. He says that as a business person, you have to make sure somebody can do the work that you can do. Otherwise, you're really capping your business. So he says, whatever you do, have somebody follow you around and notice how you do it. If you just do it and no one's watching it, it's wasted. You want to create a clone of yourself. He says, the first clone is really hard to make. So the journey from 0 to 1 is going to take long, But the journey from 1 to 2, 3, 4 is not going to take that long, because the clones can clone themselves too. So clone number 1 can make clone number 2, clone number 1 or 2 can make 3 and 4, and so on. So it's going to be easier later on. If you run a business, this is pretty obvious. You need to create that clone. If you don't run a business, how can you do this? Well, I mean, everyone, all of us, we run a life, right? So one key issue where I think everyone should have a clone is some help in the house, like a cleaner. And it takes time to train a cleaner. So try to get one that will stay with you, and then teach her or him everything that you do, so they can do exactly. So you don't have to tell them everything and then keep them, right? So who could you train? It could also be an assistant. Everyone can get a VA, a virtual assistant. Where can you clone yourself in your life right now? That was point number 5. Let's move on to point number 6. Buy shortcuts. He says consultants are the biggest cheat code. He says whenever he has to do something, he will find somebody who has done it already and learn from them. If you have to learn everything the hard way yourself, you're going to make so many mistakes. You're going to have to practice a lot. You're going to fail. You're going to have to get up. But if you can find somebody who can tell you how to do it, you can avoid falling, avoid making all those mistakes, because you'll get the cheat code. You'll get the solution faster. That is an excellent way of thinking. How have I used that myself? Well, I am, wherever somebody can teach me something, I'm in. I buy so many courses. I have a coach, wherever I can learn, I learn. Where would you be able to learn? This can also be in investing. If somebody is better at it than you, could you hire them? One-on-one hiring is usually pretty expensive. So do they have a course? I have a course about investing if you're interested. And if you're not interested in buying a paid product right now, I will link to my free ebook below. And then later on, maybe we can talk about more. Where can you hire somebody to help you? If you run a business, maybe it's a real consultant like the McKinsey kind. If you're at home with your kids and it's difficult, can you hire somebody to help you figure that out, how to make it easier? I mean, things that I have hired in my life. I hired an organizer in this house. Somebody who, it's not the same as an interior designer. She actually said you also have to have an interior designer. So when I moved into this house, I hired right away, well, actually 4 kinds of people. The movers who packed everything and took everything out. The organizer who figured out how to organize things so it makes sense. The interior decorator who told me where to put all the furnitures. And also a guy who could assemble whatever extra furnitures I had to buy and, get things on the wall, all of that. Basically, my job was really easy. I just had to say, yeah, that looks good, that's fine. Where can you do something similar? That was point number 6. Let's move on to point number 7. Impossible is possible. He says that most people, they close down. Oh, that's not possible. And if you know MrBeast just a little bit, he has done a lot of crazy stuff that you have to click on it, because how is he going to survive in that coffin for 7 days? That's an example of one specialist that he hired. He wanted to do, moving back to the other point, he wanted to stay in a coffin 7 days, and everyone said, that's impossible. Can't be done. You'll die. You need to drink and whatever. And he hired somebody, or actually just called him up, like, you've been in a coffin? Well, how did you do it? That's a consultant. Only it's not a consultant, it's just a person. So you have to figure out, really, is it impossible, or is it just something that I judge it to be? Am I just being a little quick in my judgment? And the way we think about things, we want to use questions that open our minds. How can it be possible? How is it possible? How can I make it happen? Is there anything in your life that you think is impossible? What has it been in my life? Well, first of all, I was single, close to 40. I didn't have kids. And most people think that's pretty impossible. At least more than 10 years ago when I did it, it wasn't that common. But I used fertility treatment and a donor. So I have kids on my own. I have 2 boys, as you know. It could also be like I was a single mom. I was fired on maternity leave. I wanted to be financially free. And people were laughing at me. I said, I'm doing it. It could also be I wanted to move to Portugal alone with kids. People are like that. You can't do that. The school that my oldest kid was in at the time, they completely thought, they warned me against it. There's a lot of things where you think this is impossible. But how can I make it possible? Is there something you really want to happen that you judged impossible too quickly? That was point number 7. Let's look at point number 8, which is shut out the noise. MrBeast says that when he went to high school, people told him that he was a nerd. Today, people tell him that he's a genius, he's praised for the stamina, but actually it's the same behavior. People just talk differently about him. The noise is what people tell you. And he also says, well, actually, guys, if you're the smartest person in the room, maybe you're in the wrong room. If you're surrounded by people who are very critical of what you do, it's like running with very heavy weights. You have to let the weight go. And what does that actually mean? Does that mean you have to leave people? Do you have to leave your family? I've had it too. When I started my journey with blogging about money, one of my very, very close family members told me, you are obsessed with money. That really hurt me. I didn't respond to it and I didn't do anything about it, but I decided to let all the criticism go. And what does that actually mean? Well, actually, in my case, it did help that I moved to another country. I still see my friends and family, but a little bit of distance can help. But at least if you can't distance yourself, at least just change the subject, right? If you don't like the subject, you can just say, sorry, my phone is ringing, or I have to go to the bathroom, or just a second, Just ask them a question. They'll start talking about something else. Change the subject, right? And also, be sure to surround yourself with people who will lift you up, people who are better than you. And actually, this is the next subject. So that was principle number 8. Let's move on to principle number 9, which is choose your environment. This is really related. MrBeast, as an example, he wanted to lose a lot of weight, to get jacked, as he called it. And he said the biggest hack was that he surrounded himself with people who were already jacked, who were already really fit, because he would do what they do. If you are around people who order pizza all the time, he would eat pizza too and gain too much weight. So he looked at if they were fit, and then he did whatever they did. That's a great hack, and it reminds me of Warren Buffett, who says, surround yourself with people who are better than you, and you will naturally drift in their direction. If you surround yourself with people who are worse than you in whatever subject matter, you will slide down the pole to their level. It will happen pretty fast. How have I done this? Like I said before, I moved to Portugal. Sometimes we can pay ourselves into an environment where we are surrounded by people who are better than us. Physically, I removed myself from the neighborhood I was in, from my own friends and family, even though, I love them very much. They have their qualities. And we moved to an area that's very affluent in Portugal. It's called Cascais. And my kids go to a really good and quite expensive international school. So I'm surrounded by parents who are doing really well. And probably they are also at a higher level than the people I used to surround myself with. But if that's not possible for you, all of us, we have obligations, then you can join groups, join masterminds, join courses. I do it all the time. I really very consciously seek to learn from people. You can hire someone who's better than you, right? Now we're back to the consultant. That was point number 9, and it should be the last point, but actually I have a little bonus point for you. And that is play the long game. You remember I told you that MrBeast was offered $1 billion for his company? He turned it down. Why? Because he's playing the long game. And it really reminds me of someone else, Zuckerberg, who owns Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. He also had an offer of exactly the same amount, $1 billion, and turned it down. And this I heard MrBeast talk about. He said that Zuckerberg said, why? What would I do? I would just open another social media company, and I really like the one that I have. So I'm quite sure that Zuckerberg inspired MrBeast to turn down the offer, and that was the thinking behind it. Why would I do that? I love what I'm doing. I would keep doing it. I would just have to rebuild it from scratch. How have I done this in my life? Well, actually, there have been people along the way that have asked to buy whatever I'm doing. It started, I wasn't even 1 year into my journey. Somebody wanted to buy the Facebook group that I had at the time. And recently I had another offer and I just turned it down. I am not stopping. I have no intention of stopping. This is just the beginning of the journey. Like, I know where I'm going and I want to go there. If I sold it, maybe I could sit on the beach all day, but that's not what I want. I have a dream. I have a goal. So my question to you is, do you have a long-term goal? Are you invested in it? And are you willing to use these principles to get there? And exactly what, just one thing that you will do today to get a little bit ahead. just today. That's what I had for you today. Remember, whatever I say on this podcast, it's never investment advice. It's entertainment. Just exactly like MrBeast would say. Like and subscribe. And like some other YouTubers would say, if you like your mama, remember to like and subscribe. She will see it. Bye.